we speak to our international news editor, Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, certainly will circle back to Ghana in just a moment, but there's a story that is developing. A lot of people talking about it. It's our question tonight. Incoming U.S. President Donald Trump threatening BRICS countries with huge tariffs if they create their own currency. And some are seeing this as economic force. What has been the reaction from BRICS countries?
We haven't seen a reaction, perhaps in a form of a whole group responding to this. But we saw yesterday the South African president, who is the outgoing chair of the BRICS group, as you know that the current chair is Russia, saying that they will engage President Trump in relation with trade concerns that America might have as a form of bilateral, but also in relation to the BRICS nations or including the G20. And therefore, we haven't had Russia or China or other countries such as India or Brazil talking about this matter. But when you look at the media in Russia, you can see that Russia is using the statement to point to America to say it is because of America we are doing this. As you know that since the start of the Ukraine conflict or war, America has imposed sanctions on Russia, and also the European Unions and the friends of America did the same in support of Ukraine, and therefore payment to Russia by other countries have become a problem if you are using dollars, because the SWIFT system has decided also to impose sanctions against Russia. And therefore Russia is saying it's your own fault that we have to opt for this. But I remember speaking to the former South African President Kgalema Motlanthe about the war in Ukraine and also how the balance of forces are changing globally. He pointed out that in the same way the empires collapsed in Europe, America's dominance will be challenged, and one day America will not dominate the world. He even pointed out the issue of the dollar, that when you take a decision, as the group's family has done, to do business using their own national currencies, clearly you are indirectly weakening the rand, the dollar. And therefore I think much as Trump is talking about BRICS launching its currency, which is not on the table right now within the BRICS member state. It is about using national currencies of member states, not using the dollar to do trade. I think we are getting there, and perhaps Donald Trump didn't do his homework well in terms of following properly what the BRICS group is saying. You know, you also think about the fact that all of these sentiments are coming now as South Africa has taken over the presidency of the G20. We are expecting President Ramaphosa to also make his, G20 address tomorrow, as now we officially are the president as the country. What can we expect? Well, I think the president will talk about the theme of this responsibility, but also how he is going to work together with countries of the South, including the United Nations. You know that the Secretary General of the United Nations believe in South Africa and African countries so much. And I think he is going to also work very close with the United Nations, particularly after the adoption of that pact aimed at improving the lives of ordinary people around the world. And I think the other issue the president will talk about, the issue of Middle East and, of course, the war in Ukraine, and also what's happening on the continent, and therefore launching the logo in terms of South Africa's presidency as the G20, and talking about all the different meetings. We are told 130 meetings starting early next year until towards the summit in November. You'll have different meetings of different sectors where they will be discussing important issues.
And you know, also the president, when it comes to the South African president, that is also hosting, will be hosting his Nigerian counterpart. What can we expect from those discussions?
The president, I think, will also talk to President Tinubu about South Africa's presidency. He was there in Brazil when South Africa took over. And I think the other important issue will be trade between the two countries, because this is a binational commission where you discuss the relationship between South Africa and Nigeria. And these two countries being major economies on the continent, the issue of trade will feature high, but also political issues on the continent and globally. You know that as we speak now, the Nigerian government, or Nigeria, is the current chair of ECOWAS. And ECOWAS is quite an important regional body. The issues there will be the issue of security in the Sahel region, but also generally the trade relations between South Africa, Nigeria, but including the ECOWAS member family or member states.
And, you know, it segues us into Ghana now, where the country is headed to the polls, and one wonders what the significance of these elections is, and especially the challenges that lie ahead for the country's new leadership.
Well, I think, as I pointed out, the challenges you see in West Africa, you must have a strong ECOWAS leadership. Yes, Nigeria is the chair, but other countries also must be strong. And therefore, it will be interesting to see who is going to be the president of Ghana. And I think for now, many people are saying that the former president, Mahama, is likely going to take over. And you know that he was the president from 2012 to 2017. I remember at some point in time he was leading an election mission in Kenya, where he pointed out a need for respect for democracy when Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta were at each other's throat, where Raila didn't want to accept the elections, and him and the former South African president, then both of them were leading the election observer missions there, persuading the two leaders to ensure that there's no conflict. And I think it will be interesting to see if he's able to win, what will be the approach in relation to Ghana. You know that Ghana has been having lots and lots of challenges, economic challenges, including the issues with IMF and the World Bank. And as you heard earlier on, people on the ground are not happy. There are no jobs. When you look at Ghana, we've seen many, many protests in that country. And therefore, I think it will be interesting to see whether the vice president, who's part of the current status quo, will win, or we are going to see the former president coming in, and perhaps with the hope that he will do things differently. And you can't guarantee, because he once led that country and he was taken out because people were not happy. So him coming back, how can he offer better solutions when at the time when he was leading the country, he couldn't do that?
And speaking about elections, how far are we from knowing the outcome of the results in Namibia?
I think by Wednesday we will have the final results. It's getting there. We saw today announcement in terms of some of the results, and now they've even started announcing the results in relation to the parliamentary seats. And I think we are getting there. It took so long, but at the end of the day, it looks like we are getting there. And for now, SWAPO is still leading. Even the presidential candidate is still leading, but there's a lot of results that still has to be declared and be verified.
And with an unhappy opposition, one wonders what's going to be taking place there. Sophie, thank you so much for that update there. That was SABC News International editor Sophie Mokoena.